My next guest is a returning guest. He's also founding editor of Mediaite.com and a political columnist of a lot of talent. As he wrote, the media, the prosecutor, and Trump all want the same thing from his booking, and deep down, so do you. We're at fault. Trump and 18 others who were indicted by the Atlanta grand jury have until noon on Friday to surrender. Complete with a mugshot and possible handcuffs, it's going to be very theatrical. We've been talking about it all afternoon long. He just posted, or they haven't posted it yet, but they've cobbled together the deal. He'll have to post $200,000 in bail. So now let's welcome Colby Hall back to WDLS. Colby, thank you, sir. So the booking of Trump, as you wrote, will be a media spectacle that will rival and likely surpass his previous arraignments. How big of a spectacle are you expecting?
Well, a big one. This is going to be a lot different. I mean, everything that Trump does is a spectacle, especially when it comes to indictments, because we are in sort of new territory here. We've never had a former president have to sort of kind of submit to a local jail. And unlike the other indictments, this one will, I think, be a bigger deal because Special Counsel Jack Smith appeared to sort of, convey some professional courtesy to the former president, whereas Fulton County DA Fani Willis is not. She really seems to be leaning into, the mugshot, which are done because, for the case of skiing, well, he's super recognizable, so that seems unnecessary. But they're making him report to, I think it's Rice County Jail, which is not. It's not a federal courthouse. It's a pretty bad place. So it does appear that Fulton County DA is going to make a spectacle of this. The other person that really wants to make a spectacle of this, of course, is Donald Trump. He wants to show himself as the victim. This is his cross to bear and martyr himself. And then the last part of this is the media itself, who would love to sell advertising against this. And, there's not going to be just the OJ-style helicopters overhead. There's going to be cameras in the courtroom. This is going to be a new level of crazy, and everyone participating kind of wants it that way, even probably the viewers. You can't tell me you don't look at a traffic accident when you drive by. Everybody does. So there's going to be a lot of rubbernecking on this one as well.
As you wrote, Trump lives for this expletive deleted. Cable news covers it wall to wall, and we gobble it up. We have met the enemy, and they are us. We are the enemy.
Well, that's right. I started thinking about this, that, it's going to be so predictable, blaming the media, and a lot of blame for the media is well earned. And, the past indictments was nothing. You never even saw Trump because he was entered through the building underground garage and suddenly was leaving. And so all we saw was this, left of center pundits just theorizing on what could be happening, and maybe interns running out to saying, yes, he was in the courtroom. This will be different. But the blaming of the media I always find to be a little bit like blaming, we don't like the reflection of ourselves in the mirror. The media is what we want. And yes, there are individuals that say and do a lot of irresponsible things, but for the most part, these things are programmed because people tune in. And, if I'm being really honest with myself, I want to watch it too. And that's okay.
Do you think Mark Burnett just sits there and watches this and says, wow, I created all of this?
Probably. I understand he's got a big ego, and he's probably more right than wrong. Again, if former President Trump is, world-class at anything, it is managing the media, marketing himself. He is the ultimate carnival barker that paints himself as a victim. And, whether you believe him to be victim or not, there's a little bit of truth there. And he's able to grab the attention and spin it. It's from the old Roy Cohn school. Never that you've done anything wrong and always punch back 100 times harder than you got punched. And, that's certainly what we will see, later this week when he ultimately turns himself in.
Colby Hall is here, founding editor of Mediaite.com. Does Trump counter-program the Fox debate somehow?
Well, he's already taped an interview with Tucker Carlson. So my understanding is that he is going to release that on Twitter, which, by the way, hasn't really sort of the most recent interviews that Tucker has done haven't really resonated like the first two because the sort of scarcity has gone up. There has been talk that Trump may actually turn himself in to the Rice County Jail in Fulton County, Georgia, during the debate, which would be a stunning and pretty genius move. That would be pretty bold, and it would cost a lot of people. It would be an ultimate sort of middle finger to Fox News because MSNBC and CNN would suddenly have huge news to cover. So, that could end up being the tipping point that would finally turn Fox News officially 100% completely away from any sort of Trump support at all.
And finally, you wrote, and I thought this was a very prescient part of the column, the spectacle is just a symptom of our own disease that we, of course, are wading through now and probably always have. It happens more rapidity, and it just happens more violently than it did before. Everybody loves the spectacle.
It's true. And if the other thing I would say is that, the reason the spectacle exists is not necessarily because the media ourselves. It's because, this is unprecedented because we've never before had a former president that has acted this way. Elect a disruptor in chief, and disrupt he will do. And so ultimately, I think, a lot of this, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and this is what leads Trump to having to go, sort of go in for an arraignment at a county prison in Fulton, Georgia, or Atlanta, Georgia, and we'll be there watching.
Colby Hall, thank you very much for your time. We'll read more tomorrow at Mediaite.com.
Thank you so much, John. Always a pleasure to be here.
Always remember, they are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.